What is up, Guff gang? Joey Marino here from Grown Up Fantasy Football, here to talk DFS. It's conference championship week. It's a big one. Let's get into it. But hey, before we get into today's video, if you're new here or if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below and hit the bell icon to get notified whenever we post. Check us out on Twitter at GrownUpFF and on Facebook, Grown Up Fantasy Football. Let's do it. All right, so it's conference championship week. We got 4 teams, 2 games of players to choose from. Let's start at the top with quarterback. So the obvious one, Patrick Mahomes. He is listed at about 7,600 right here. And the thing about him is he's in the concussion protocol. You know, as of recording this video on Wednesday, he has made some strides in the protocol, but he is not cleared to play yet. So not sure we're going to play Patrick Mahomes, so don't know if I'm going to play him. Otherwise, we still got 3 other great options. You know, Josh Allen is 6,900. He's a great value. Patrick Mahomes may be the best player to play as long as he plays, but, you know, you can't really go wrong with Josh Allen. He's super consistent. He's got a really good matchup. I like Josh Allen a lot. Aaron Rodgers is at 6,500. He's also a really good play. He may be the better value right here. Are we a little worried about, repeating what happened against the Bucs in like week 9 or so? Possibly. Vita Vea is, I think, back for the Bucs. He is a possibility he returns this game. I still like Aaron Rodgers. He's leading the MVP race right now. It's really hard not to play Aaron Rodgers. So, and Tom Brady is another great player to have. He's at 6,100. The Packers D is pretty good against fantasy quarterbacks, but Tom Brady's been playing lights out. So, you can go with any of these guys. I think I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers right here. But all 4 of these, as long as Mahomes plays, are a safe bet. Chad Henne, on the other hand, he's not the worst play. I probably won't play him, though. The Bills rank 23rd against fantasy quarterbacks. He's only 5,000, so he'd be the bargain guy, and that's if Mahomes is ruled out. If Mahomes is playing, then definitely play him. All right, let's move on to running backs. So to start off, we have one of the best. He's a tier above everyone else, and that's Aaron Jones, $6,500. He's a great running back, and he produced against the Rams. Now, if we take a look at that matchup against the Rams, he scored 18.3 fantasy points, but if you take away that 60-yard run, he only scored 12.3 fantasy points. So, it could have been worse without that run. But the thing is, he is pretty consistent overall, and he's a threat to score pretty much anywhere on the field. He can break off a long 60-yard run and possibly get to the end zone. Yes, the Bucs are the best against fantasy running backs, but do you want to let that scare you against Aaron Jones? I think he's still a good play, especially at 6,500. I think I'd play him. I'm also looking at Leonard Fournette at 5,300. He's been on fire as of late, especially for PPR. He had, I think, 5 or 6 targets last game. He put up 14 points on a modest amount of carries and yards, but his PPR work is really what's setting him apart. Ronald Jones doesn't get all those all those passing looks. So Leonard Fournette, I think, is probably the better option right here. But you need to make sure, you need to maintain a look on Ronald Jones, see what he's going through with the injury history. I think he has a leg injury. So watch Ronald Jones, see how he's doing. Is Ronald Jones worth the play? He's 4,600. There's a chance he plays. He played last week and he played through injury. But I think Fournette is the hot hand, and it's historically been kind of hard to trust Bruce Arians' running backs, but I think Leonard Fournette is the hot hand. I think he'd rather play Fournette right now, and it's a juicy matchup, so I definitely like Leonard Fournette. Another guy to look at is Damian Williams, who kind of blew up last week against Cleveland. But the thing is about Williams, he's only 4,800, but you need to watch Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Is CEH going to play? The word is that he'll play this week after sitting out last week. But, monitor his practice status. I think he was limited on Tuesday. So make sure if he's not progressing, then Damian Williams may be an even better play, especially at this price range. It could go up, though, potentially if CEH does sit. All right, let's talk wide receivers. So starting off, we got the one and only Davante Adams. He's at $8,000. It's a high price, but it might be worth it. He's got the best matchup. He'll be dealing with probably a little more Carlton Davis, who's probably the best out of those Bucs DBs. He'd be an excellent stack with Aaron Rodgers. I really like to have Davante Adams this week, so I think he's pretty much locked and loaded, the wide receiver 1 for DFS plays. Also looking at Tyreek Hill, he's 7,200. It's not the best matchup. The Bills are pretty good, but he's still a beast. The key to Tyreek Hill, though, is monitoring Patrick Mahomes' status. He's still a good play, even without Patrick Mahomes and with Chad Henne in. He's the wide receiver 1 in that offense. Sammy Watkins is probably not going to play, so he's got even more targets coming his way. It could be a little dangerous if Mahomes doesn't play or comes out. So there is some risk associated with that, which is, I think, why he's so much lower than Davante Adams. Looking at Stephon Diggs, he's 7,000, and it's not a great matchup. Kansas City tends to have their safeties play on wide receiver 1s. So with Tyrann Mathieu coming over, it might get a little dangerous. But Stephon Diggs has been incredibly consistent all season. All these top 3 guys are fantastic wide receivers to have. Stacking with Josh Allen would be a great option with Stephon Diggs. But there's a few other guys that I also like to talk about too. So let's talk about the Bucs guys. Mike Evans is at 5,800. It's not a great matchup. He'll probably be dealing with the combo of either Jair Alexander or Kevin King, which doesn't bode well because Jair Alexander has been one of the best. I think he's the number 1 rated cornerback according to PFF. So, yikes. The thing is about Mike Evans, if the Bucs can get into the red zone, which I think they will, he's pretty much a lock to get at least 1 touchdown out of here. Brady loves looking to Mike Evans, looking to Gronk in the red zone. So Mike Evans could make some points there, and I think he's got a pretty good price, but I think it's a little bit accurate. I think that's probably what you're going to get out of Mike Evans. Chris Godwin is 5,400. It's not a great matchup still, but he'll probably, my thinking is, as long as Antonio Brown plays, and he is 5,300, let's talk about both of them. As long as Antonio Brown plays and is on the field, then he may draw either Alexander or King to him, which leaves Chris Godwin free to roam in the slot or outside. I think Chris Godwin has a really good value right here, and he's getting a lot more chemistry with Tom Brady. He's got over 120 yards in the playoffs. I think Chris Godwin could probably be the best value. You may want to watch Antonio Brown. I think he's a little undervalued too. He might see more Jair Alexander or Kevin King, but he's Antonio Brown. I mean, come on. Another guy to look at is John Brown from the Bills. So with the safeties playing on Stephon Diggs, John Brown could see some one-on-one action. He's kind of worked his way back into the lineup after injury. He actually had the exact same receptions and targets as Stephon Diggs last week in a very pass-heavy game. So if it turns into a shootout, that bodes well for John Brown. Also, Bashaud Breeland from Kansas City is out with a concussion. And if he doesn't play, he doesn't clear the protocol, then that's an even juicier play for John Brown. He's only 4,300, so he's definitely a good bargain, I think, right here. Another guy to look at is Allen Lazard, who's at 4,200. He kind of came back to life last week with 4 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. He had that big drop, but he made up for it with a big touchdown. I think he gets the favorable matchup of the Bucs cornerbacks. If Carlton Davis is on Davante Adams with lockdown, I say that gingerly, and Jamil Dean is covering Marquez Valdez-Scantling down the field, then he should see some Sean Murphy Bunting, which is the weakest of the 3 cornerbacks. I think Allen Lazard could probably feast on that. I think he's a great value, too, at 4,200, plus the piece of the Packers offense. He could probably be a pretty good stack with Aaron Rodgers as well. You're going to stack some of these receivers anyways, so Allen Lazard would be a pretty good stack if you don't go with Davante Adams. So let's move on to tight ends. So at the top, obviously, Travis Kelce, $8,000, but probably well worth it. He's an auto start even with or without Mahomes. He's going to see volume. It doesn't really matter. He's guaranteed work. Travis Kelce, if you're playing some of these bargain guys that I've been mentioning, some of the better values, then you probably need to pay up with Travis Kelce right here. Another guy to look at is Robert Tonyan. He is significantly cheaper than Travis Kelce. And I think it's a good value for the price. Outside of Travis Kelce, the tight end landscape is pretty bad. I think he has the most upside possibly of all these tight ends. He's in a high-powered offense. The Bucs don't do great against fantasy tight ends, but he's definitely worth a look if you don't go Kelce. Another one, Gronk. He hasn't been super successful since week 16. He ghosted you against Washington in the wild card round. It's not a great matchup, but he's got a great connection. He could always be a threat to score in the red zone, too. And the last guy I'll talk about with tight ends is Dawson Knox, who is significantly cheaper than everybody else at $2,800. He's a super bargain, but you're kind of dumpster diving, The thing about Dawson Knox is Josh Allen looks to him a lot on third down, so he might not be the worst play if you've spent up on a lot of these other guys. I think he's got some upside. Kansas City is pretty bad against tight ends, and if the Bills get to the red zone, then Dawson Knox could be a very viable option. All right, so talking about flex, we've talked a lot about these guys. Someone I'm going with Stephon Diggs. I think he has, a lot of upside, especially if I may be playing Josh Allen, then I definitely want to stack Stephon Diggs. If I'm playing Aaron Rodgers, then I definitely want to stack Devontae Adams. I want to get one of those guys in my flex. Diggs is $1,000 cheaper, too, than Devontae Adams, and he could put up a lot of points right here. It's Stephon Diggs, so I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs, but you can go with any of these guys who I just mentioned. I think they all have a lot of upside. There's a few I would kind of stray from. Ronald Jones would be one. Cole Beasley, he kind of ghosted you last week. Same with Gabriel Davis. Now, Gabriel Davis does have a little bit of an injury now. I think he wasn't practicing, so I'm not looking at them. MVS has a really good matchup. I think he's priced accurately at $3,900. So MVS, if you don't play Lazard, might be not a bad option to have against a weak defense. He could probably beat Jamel Dean. I think it'll be a little 50-50 there. I'm not really looking at Scotty Miller. I'm not really looking at Le'Veon Bell as much either. He's $4,100. We thought we would see a lot more Le'Veon Bell than we did, but it was Damian Williams who kind of took over for CEH. So I'd rather play Damian Williams. Devin Singletary, not super high on him. He did not do very well. In fact, he really hasn't done super well as of late. Since week 15, he's been putting you single-digit points. So I don't really want to play Devin Singletary. It's a pretty good matchup. Kansas City's not the best against fantasy running backs, but I don't really want to risk it with him. He's $4,500. I could go pay up for, Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, and then grab Diggs and maybe Devontae Adams, and get away from Devin Singletary, cover all my running backs. I'd rather take a shot with like Cole Beasley or MVS than Devin Singletary. All right, so let's talk defense. Last position. So there's only 4 to choose from, obviously. The Packers are the most expensive at $3,600. Now, really, none of these defenses are a great play because you're facing off against 4 really good offenses, okay? The Packers are $3,600, maybe because of injuries with Ronald Jones and Antonio Brown, possibly. The Packers, I think I said it last week, they're not the best play. They're still a good play, but they don't get a whole lot of points. The Chiefs are $3,100, and, do I really want to play against a red-hot Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs combo? Take my chances with the defending Super Bowl champs, who could be playing with a chip on their shoulder without Patrick Mahomes? I don't know. The Bills are really the only ones I'd probably look at somewhat seriously, just because there's a possibility that Patrick Mahomes may not play, or if, knock on wood, he gets re-injured, he may come out. So then the Bills may be an even better play against Chad Henne, who did throw an interception last week. And then you get the Bucs, who ranked last, who are $2,700. I'm not playing the Bucs. You should not play the Bucs. I wouldn't. Yes, they did shut down the Packers the first time they played, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to let that happen again. So I'm probably going to go with the Bills right here. I think they have the most upside, but really it's kind of a crapshoot with most of these defenses. But hey, that's going to do it for the DFS lineup. So the lineup I'm going with that you may want to use is at quarterback Aaron Rodgers, at running back Aaron Jones, running back Leonard Fournette, at wide receiver John Brown, at wide receiver Chris Godwin, at wide receiver Alan Lazard, at tight end Travis Kelce, at my flex Stephon Diggs, and defense is the Bills. That leaves you with nothing. You max out the salary with that lineup. You may want to play it, you may not. Feel free to take that lineup and run with it, but I hope this helped a ton. I hope this helps you win some money. Let's go win a bunch. It's conference championship week. It's going to be a lot of good games, so definitely pay attention, and let's go win some money. Go like and subscribe, go grow up, and go get guffed.